if they were helped to fit in. But that rather assumes that we ourselves are confident and proud of our culture. The Japanese were certainly very confident, very proud of their culture, very keen to tell me what I should do. But are we as confident? And I'm not sure that we are, which I think is a pity, because having lived abroad in Asia and Africa, there's enormous things that I really appreciate about my own country, which I only learned to appreciate when I lived abroad. But do we actually feel that? And I think until we feel that, how can we put that over to other people?
You see, I suppose
I think Harriet's
sorry, Salma, go on.
wrong there. I think people here are fiercely proud of the British identity. I don't think it's true at all that we need confidence boosting in that area. And also I think Harriet's making an assumption that people who come here don't want to integrate. People generally come to this country, come here because they want to come here. They like Britain. So I don't agree at all with the fundamental assumption
I don't think it's
that,
about
that Harriet's coming out to.
Amongst many of my immigrant friends, they say, but why aren't English people more proud of what England represents? And for instance, a few of my friends have gone through the sort of citizenship thing, and they said, but you know, nothing happened, and we really feel that English people themselves should be celebrating their own country and what being English stands for. Well, for me, I mean, I think everyone probably has their personal interpretation. For me, it's definitely tolerance, fairness, a certain lack of corruption, and a sense of history.
And also,
but are we teaching any of these things to our own people in school? I don't think so.
And also, surely, an agreement that we know what we're not and what we don't like. I mean, for instance, even if take an extreme example, let's say Salma Yaqub, where, for instance, earlier this week we had a couple of men yet to be jailed, but found guilty of an honour killing. They were from Kurdish parts of Iraq. Now, they had effectively imported certain ways of behaviour. Now, we can all talk about celebrating diversity, but there are certain elements of diversity which the host community might not like. For example, honour killing.
Well, also the treatment of women.
That's for Salma. Harriet, forgive me, just hold your horses, Salma.
Well, I think when it comes to things like honour killing, there wouldn't be much disagreement that people would condemn it outright, and that's what we have the law for.
But that's not true, is it, though, Salma? But that's not true. The police were telling us that I don't want to go off on a tangent here and talk about honour killings, but that's not absolutely true, is it? We know that the police were telling us at the start of the week that actually there were a large number of people within that host community, from the Kurdish community, who actually didn't think it was such a terrible thing. I mean, that's unthinkable for many people, but that's the truth.
My point being that we have in the country a law which every single person is subject to. You don't have exceptions to that law. For example, when it comes to a subject like honour killings, which would be controversial within that community, although some people may try to justify it. In the same way, a more benign example, for example, is binge drinking. Some people may think it's perfectly great. In fact, they look forward to it on the weekends, whereas the majority of people would say, no, we don't think that's acceptable, especially if somebody else is harmed. But we have the law to tell us where the line is being crossed. So I don't think these things are so complex that we can't address them, or they're not being addressed. Because, for example, in this country, that person was put behind bars, and we said this is not acceptable.
Yeah. Do you think, Harriet, all cultures are equal? I mean, you know, as Selma points out, there are elements of British cultural life which immigrants find pretty uncomfortable, if not detestable. Walk down a high street in most market towns Friday, Saturday night, and you'll know exactly what Salma's talking about. Are, though, on balance, all cultures equal, or, say, is the British culture, as some might define it, preferable to others?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that very well.
In your estimation, are all cultures equal?
No, obviously not. I mean, I don't. There's certain, of course, that there's certain elements in our country which are not pleasant, and which immigrants coming here are very shocked, and quite rightly shocked about. But having lived for whatever 10, 15 years in other parts of the world, I think there are definitely things that we should be proud of and that we should cherish. And at the moment, I don't think we are. I don't think we have a sense of quite how special some of the attributes in our culture are. As I said before, I mean, I don't think, for instance, we're teaching them to our children. They're not learning about them at school. In fact, what we spend a lot of our time seeming to do is apologising for being British. And and sort of
that's
saying that
true
every
at all.
other culture is better. Which I think is really very sad.
Which school do your
Because obviously,
children go
immigrants
to?
are coming here and they want to come here for a reason.
Okay, we have to leave it right there. Salma Yaqub and Harriet Sargent, we appreciate your thoughts. Thank you very much indeed.
Let's return to our main story this afternoon, and that is the continuing